Just called too, by the way.
All right, we are live. Welcome, 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 everyone. And welcome back. We are the fan TV that is US. I am Chris, and with me, as pretty much always, is TJ. Hat Guy is once again at large, we'll say. He,
We can't
how are
talk
we
we
gonna?
can't talk about it. We just can't talk about where he is. It's just so Douglas. Yes, hat guys are back, but neither of us are wearing a hat. And the hat guy is, like I said, he's on assignment somewhere. We can't talk about it. It's ultra hush hush secret. We're hoping he comes back safely, and we'll kind of go from there. So it's been a
Yeah,
while,
something like
Chris.
that.
It's been
Yeah,
a
yeah,
while.
right. Yeah, welcome everyone. Yeah, we have taken, we'll call it a sabbatical for quite a while. Um, Yeah, as to explain where we've been, I don't know. TJ was at Army training for some of the earlier games. Hat guy was traveling. I had some family stuff that we had to do. So, like, yeah, we've kind of been all over. But we'll start off tonight. The U.S. with a 1-0 win over Iran. I, After the way they played, I'll say Iran. Um, advances to the round of 16. So, what did you think of the game, TJ?
I always the first thing I always think of is the result fair, and was absolutely a fair result when it was all said and done. They were the better team for the most part. You can say the last 15, 20 minutes Iran was on the front foot, but that's when you're defending and just trying to get the hell out. The first half was a lot of missed opportunities. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was, but ultimately 1-0 got it done. Um, I think we need to all say a prayer for Christian Pulisic's, twig and berries.
His pelvic contusion, they've called it.
Pelvic contusion, right? And in conversation with one of the coaches at training tonight, we were talking about it. He plays forward and I play goalie. As a goalie, you're going to have that collision. As a forward, you're going to have that collision, and yet you still got to do it. And he did it. He got the goal. Um, as good as Tim Weah was, a couple he should have had. A lot of good to take away from it. Like I said, one goal after and the game itself, a lot of drama, awesome. I'm happy. So
I mean, I still call. Hold on, I'll note it before it goes by. S27. Yeah, we'll get to Triple G. We'll discuss that today.
mhm.
What happened to us, Midnight Man? I don't know, man. Life.
Life is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we've all had things to do. Pat decided to Hat Guy decided to spin this into like an actual job, and so has been um, less available to come and be on this show. So, and I apologize if I have a hoarse voice. I was out screaming watching the game today. So uh, yeah, that's we'll go from there. I still call bullshit on the offsides. I don't look. I understand the stuff. We had some comments go by on Twitter and things, which I haven't responded to. So if I don't remember who sent it, or if there were multiple people, I can't remember now. But if you did and I haven't responded, I know I haven't responded. So if you're here, I apologize. I will get to that eventually. But I'm going to talk about it here. I still stand by. They showed in the replay. Way is like a yard, at least an arm length, so we'll call it a yard, onside as the ball's being kicked. Somehow he's then a foot offsides when the ball's released. There's no way any human being on earth, any human being, period, can travel 4 feet in, I don't know, a tenth of a second.
Except that
So, no,
except that the
there's no way
referee
he was offsides.
put his hand put the flag up. No, it was called on the field.
Yeah,
Offside. Now
yeah,
I get it. I get it. I mean, VAR, it either it is or it isn't, but it was called offsides on the field. So that tells me they had it right. And the camera angle is not straight. I know we're not going to agree on this one. We can go back and forth. We can go a bit to blue. You thought he was onside. VAR, the AR called him offsides. It's offsides. Now that said, um, the one he fluffed where he tried to head it badly instead of letting it drop and taking a
oh,
volley.
yeah, yeah.
I thought he was offsides there too. I thought that one would have been pulled back as well. So, you know what? He fluffed one that he might have been able to score. So I think ultimately it is what it is. Did it hurt him at the end of the day? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I said, I thought the referee was good. All was good, and especially in the final 15 minutes when they were defending for their lives, there were a couple. When they went to VAR, you're going, you can't be serious. And even Macknick's like, yeah, no, but they didn't call it on the field. They didn't let VAR overturn it, so it did what it was supposed to. Get a look at it and move on. So,
And I also call bullshit that it took exactly like 0 seconds to review that call, and then it took what 2 minutes or something to review the handball that was on them, but they thought was on us in the
offside,
box.
offsides is all technology based. They already had the result when they did it,
No,
and
I
that's
get it, I get it, I get it, but
yeah,
it's still bullshit.
yeah.
Yes, I will
Chris,
talk to Joe
Chris, but
Biden and get the Navy to move that ship. It is a very important thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. S-27. Um, and let's talk about some other issues of the world and how it's all the U.S. national team's fault. How did the ref not throw more yellows? Again, because it's bullshit. But
and
whatever.
you know
Um,
what? And he just as easily could have been throwing him on us as well. He didn't. He's done a European final. This guy can referee. He did just fine. And anybody who has a hairstyle that looks like his and can still be out there at a World Cup game has got to be the most confident referee in the world. And I thought, like I said, I thought he did a good job of balancing the game. I had no issues with him. And then again, Chris, I've known you for what, going on 35 years, and I have yet to think you have a
something like
referee that find a referee that you actually do like, and including me. I'm pretty
that.
sure
Yep,
if I was
that's
refereeing
fair.
one of your games, you'd yell at me too. So it kind of goes
Um,
with the territory of the show. You're looking for if you're looking for referee conspiracy theories, here's your guy.
I didn't say it's a conspiracy. Also, it's not a conspiracy if it's always true. If they're really
Yeah.
after you, it's not a conspiracy.
All right.
Um,
So
Speaking of Adams, I see S-27 making another comment too. Adams, that dude was amazing. He's pretty much been amazing so far in the entire tournament. But um, his positioning on the field was incredible. His I don't know, reading of the game so he could be first to balls at times to and cut things out was incredible. That ball he had that led to, wasn't he the one who played it to Weah that they ruled off sides there?
I believe so. Yeah.
Um, that was that was incredible vision. I mean, you drop a 35-yard pass through 4 or 5 guys basically
Yeah.
as you're about to get hit. Um,
He
I mean, look, we knew he was good going in, but like, wow.
he
I mean, he's been everything that. Um,
he's one that, he I saw a short list for who's up for they think is front runners as of right now for a golden ball. He's not one of them. He absolutely should be. He is. They have given up one goal. I get it. They've
yeah.
only scored two, but they have given up one goal against England, against Iran,
Uh,
and against Wales.
oh,
And
okay, okay, yeah.
yeah, and he has been in the right place. His game has been essentially flawless. Even his decision to take the yellow card today, it was necessary. And he, he's been a phenomenal leader. He looks calm. He's had to put up with some really bad questions in pressers. He's kept this team.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
reason the team chose him. And now we can, if we want to sidetrack, we can't. My question for you on this is, Chris, how much do you give props to, kind of to Jesse Marsh, like bringing this out of him with Leeds? I know he was good at Red Bull, but he seems like he's
It,
taken the next step.
it's been building. I do think the step up in I don't know, maybe physicality. I don't know if you can necessarily say it's speed of like the Premier League over the Bundesliga, because the Bundesliga tends to be so much more like back and forth anyway. But definitely the physicality that I think the league requires, and then that playing for Leeds requires, and then to like still have the ability to make offensive plays from that. I do think that's come out because of his move there, and I mean it's been phenomenal. It's fuck Leeds, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's
It's
been incredible. I want to see Aronson play more, partially because of how good he's been at Leeds too.
right. All right, so let's kind of get back into the game a little bit. So Pulisic decides to take one for the team, maybe ends his childbirthing, any possibility of having children later, but gets the goal, gets through halftime. Aronson comes on to start the second half. He looked lost today. He never seemed like he found a groove. What about 60th minute or so was that when what's his name, Sargent got hurt, and then they went to Haji Wright, and then
Yeah.
they did the Shaq Moore, the three subs to Shaq Moore. Well, McKinney came out, right? McKinney came out for Acosta, and then the last two were Zimmerman and Shaq Moore to
Hmm.
solidify the defense when they went to five in the back, and that was when you know. It's funny when you watch the game, when you think of that end of the game specifically, when you think through it, how many long balls was Zimmerman clearing to exactly where the person he replaced would be?
Yeah.
You know, his giant noggin kept getting on everything, which is what he was out there for. But yet, any of his desperation clearances weren't getting to where they're going to nobody, and that kept the pressure on. But like I said, it ultimately worked. So substitutions today, they all made sense at the time. Aronson, like I said, never seemed to really find a, and Haji Wright I thought was bad today.
Well, I think part of it may be Aronson may not be the proper replacement for Pulisic. And I'll kind of get into it here as like Alex is commenting. Where was Gio? Um, I don't know what to say.
It's
Look, there is the thing that the kid seems to always be hurt. And so either maybe he is nursing something, maybe you're protecting him from getting something, but I don't know. He didn't play at all today. He hasn't really played at all this tournament. When are you going to use him? Because
well,
it sure seems like he should be out there.
it,
Um,
and I will be the first one to say today was not the game he belonged in. This was not a game for him.
I suppose that you would certainly worry that he would
I
get hurt here.
I thought the
That
England game.
said,
I thought the
after I don't
last.
know, Pulisic got hurt.
I thought the
You
last 20, 25 minutes of the England game really stood up for him, and probably the Wales game as well. But that specifically, and he was ready to come in about the 70th minute, give or take. It just took 7 or 8 minutes before they could get the subs on the field for whatever reason. Ball didn't get out of play, whatever. They were there and ready. Um, there's a reason, and you look through the
do we
hashtag.
believe do we believe Wijnaldum?
No, absolutely not.
I,
I
I I think I think there might be something to it. I think at the same time it's Wijnaldum, so he's talking out of his ass.
I I don't
Um,
I don't believe it because if he had a problem with Gio Reyna and the chemistry it would bring to the team, he wouldn't
why
bring him.
bring it all? Yeah.
Georgi Mihalovic is a perfect example of that. If you are a cancer in the room or you don't fit in your style in with what you're trying to do, he doesn't bring
Don't
you.
say that on
That's
Reddit.
hmm?
Don't say that on Reddit about George Valovich.
Well, I mean, let's go with John Anthony Brooks, another one. I
I
mean,
was going to bring him up too. Yeah.
if you don't fit in with what Triple G is trying to do, he's not going to bring you. That said, you don't stay in his doghouse forever necessarily because Tim Ream played one game of the qualifier of the Ocho, and here he is. Haji Wright, Josh Sargent, all seemed like they were out of favor. They're here. You if you're performing, it seemed like he took the guys who were Zach Steffen seemed like that was his guy all the way through.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happens? He dropped him. He went with the guys who were in form at the time, and you know,
And I guess that's my guess. Like Jameson's asking here about Scally. I guess that's my guess on that one, because I do think, and I don't know, maybe it's more the fan slash social media hype that has people expecting Scally to be out there playing, but I don't whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to. Well, I do think there are a lot of valid criticisms to be made of Berhalter. It's hard to say, look, he should have done all these things differently when, I don't know, it's the first time we've gotten out of a group without a loss, isn't it? and, no losses, no goals against us from open play. Only one goal scored against us
by an MLS player,
so far,
ironically enough,
by an MLS player, no doubt.
an MLS
Or no
substitute,
less.
no less.
True, yeah, true.
He might have,
So
he might have at one point been the most expensive player in the world, but they
the mighty have
LAFC brought him in
fallen.
off the golf course. I get it, but
We had the same points in 2010, and to some extent the same outcomes. Now the one thing I would say that 2010 had for it that we don't, and if when we start looking forward to what's coming, I think this is going to be an issue. We could score in 2010.
yeah,
I don't
nobody
know.
has grabbed the number 9 spot and
Yeah,
ran with it. You know what? I'll
Sargent's
temper
done
that a
good
little.
at
Josh Sargent was good
Sargent's
today.
hold-up play has been good, but we don't have anybody who can just put the ball in the net. If we had somebody who could put the ball in the net, we win this group.
Yeah,
We start talking about we can beat the Netherlands and be serious about it.
We're not playing the
And
Netherlands. I mean, if we win the group, we're not playing the
oh,
Netherlands.
for sure, yeah. But I mean, just like under the circumstances, everything becomes much more accessible. I think saying we're a contender for semifinalist isn't unreasonable. But without those goals, what the hell are we going to do? We have to score against the Netherlands, and can we?
Yeah, that depends. That really depends on which, and we'll touch more on this later. But which Virgil van Dijk shows up, the one that's been a cone for Liverpool most of the year, or the one
Yeah,
who was the world's best defender the previous several years
yeah,
when he was healthy. So, like I said, what more do you know? And I've been on the Triple G bandwagon pretty much from the beginning. I thought he was a good hire. I think he is very, very detail oriented. I think he gets into the weeds. If anybody's criticizing his substitution pattern, you guys all know, and I don't think any of you are dumb, except for you, Michael, that this is not done in a vacuum. There are other people. If they thought he was being nuts, he has assistants that would tell him, "Dude, no." Now, whether he chooses to listen or not, that's another story. But I don't. But if that was the case, you would know. That's not happening. These are not done in a vacuum. These are done with. They talk through these things. This isn't just him, and him. It's they know what they're doing with this stuff. What more do you want from them? I'm not kidding. Second youngest team in the tournament.
second youngest team, youngest lineup.
Yeah. They qualified, what do we want them to do? We want them to qualify. He did that. You want him to get out of the group stage. He's done that. You want him to beat Mexico. Mexico is his proverbial bitch. I don't know before people, because he doesn't substitute the guy you want at the time you want. I don't care when you're getting the results they're getting. Okay. And now, was he negative with the subsidy? How much was dictated to him? Pulisic didn't come out to start the second half. Aronson was the sub for that. Sargent gets hurt. I think Haji Wright being left on an island and doing stuff is kind of what he does in Turkey. So that sub made sense as well. It just, Haji Wright was not good today. He was good in a half against England. He wasn't, and then you do go when it's 12, 10, 15 minutes ago, you have to go negative. I'm pretty sure Weston McKennie's on a pitch count, 60 minutes and he's done. Seems like that's about all they're putting him in, 60, 70 minutes, and that's it for McKennie. So get beyond that. You're nursing a 1-0 lead. You're not going to put De La Torre in the midfield. You're going to go with your strongest defensive midfielder that's on your bench, and that is Kellen Acosta. That made sense. And again, the last 10 minutes, you're trying to see the game out. End of story. And like I said earlier, as we were talking about this earlier, 27 is Zimmerman was on everything, clearing it long. The problem was when you went to the 5 in the back, where the guy he replaced is where that ball was where everything was going, and that just kept the pressure on. But I do want to comment on one other part of this game and really through the whole first round. Arsenal number 2, Matt Turner, one-time not top 10 winner, has been nothing short of flawless. I guess if you need to be nitpicky, you could say he didn't get enough of a hand on Bale's penalty.
Yeah, he did have a shot at that one. Yeah.
And just again, that to me now, and you want to go back to 2002. That reminds me of the decision at the last minute to go with Friedel instead of Casey Keller. Casey Keller was the number one all the way through. They switched to
Hmm.
Friedel late. This lines up that same way in the sense of instead of Zach Steffen, oh, here comes Matt Turner. Matt Turner has been phenomenal in this tournament. Distribution, phenomenal. Willing to play the ball in his feet, phenomenal. There's not like I said. I guess if you have to be nitpicky, he should have gotten a little more of a hand on Bale's penalty, but that's a blister penalty.
Yeah,
So
I don't generally downgrade a keeper for not saving a penalty. For the most part, they're hard to do.
well, yeah, there's a
That
little
one
there's
wasn't
sarcasm there,
fantastic. He didn't shoot it very like he didn't bury it in a corner. He didn't like go high or low. He shot it kind of in a place where a keeper could get to it.
but it was hard.
Um,
But it was hard.
yeah, yeah. I
It was
mean,
safe.
I'm still not saying he had to save it, but like
Yeah.
he had a
It would-
shot at it.
right.
And yeah, I guess we have to be nitpicky when he hasn't faced a ton of shots. He hasn't had to be like Howard versus Belgium or something.
No,
Um,
now again, and part of the game though, and as you know, it is how much of it is with the communication with his defense. How much of that, again, Triple G, all the criticism. Tim Ream, 8,000-year-old center back. I mean, Tim Ream in the back has made, what more do you want from him? So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say, uh, Tim Ream has been everything you would have hoped for, maybe along the way. Like, all these years, he's been around, but he's never been, I don't know, the guy. You look at, he could have been whatever. He could have played at World Cups along the way, and here he is, like as a standout now, and apparently also getting plaudits from Pep and everything. So
right, but if again you watch his form with Fulham, he's been really good with Fulham. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it makes sense. Now, here's something I threw out in our text chat that I wanted to bring up because I'm curious, and anybody wants to comment on this. This is, I think, a great question. Miles Robinson blew his ACL late summer? I think it was against the Fire. He blew it out. If Miles Robinson doesn't blow his ACL, is Tim Ream in the lineup?
yeah. I tend to think no, but
I think it'd be Tim. I think it would have
it
been Ream and Zimmerman,
it
or
it
Ream and
certainly
or
looks like it should
Zimmerman,
have been.
Robinson and Zimmerman.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it should have been Ream. So maybe that maybe
Sorry,
that ACL was advantageous. Was it
ACL, not
Achilles?
Achilles, not ACL. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
point being the same. Yeah, he blew it up against the Fire. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Robinson would have started, and that means Tim Ream is not in there. So sometimes it's a little bit fortunate to go with it. So if you're looking for someone to bash Greg Berhalter, I'm not going to be the guy that does it. I don't know what more you want from him. With this young of a team, this team should be rounding into form in 4 years.
I think the one thing that, well, like when you say what else do you want from him, I think some of this is our expectations are this now. Our expectation now is, of course, we're going to get out of the group. Of course, we're at least into the round of 16. To be successful now as a U.S. manager, you have to accomplish more than that. You have to at
But
least make,
is
I don't
getting
know, quarterfinals, semifinals, something,
and
because we have reached a level of talent um, at which we can finally play. We can finally accomplish things on the field. We can finally uh, look at winning groups. We don't have to just luck our way out of things. Um, if anything, it was a bit of bad luck that kept us from beating Wales, and maybe England too.
England, the England game still fascinates me because that that Southgate had to go bring Henderson on to try and solidify the midfield. That game would have been lost had Southgate not
Yeah,
made that adjustment. And I understand that people are critical of the subs Berhalter makes. Again, those because everybody has the guy that they want that they think should play, be it Scally, be it Gio Reyna. He's done everything. Like I said, Berhalter has gotten results. I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt. But because he pisses off a portion of the hashtag Twitter, everybody's going to be up in arms and thinking he's terrible. I
That's fair.
Everybody's saying that Reno should be on the field. If Reno was that much of a difference maker, he would be. He came on for what, the last 12, 13 minutes against England. That I don't remember him being out there really. A difference maker would have done it. I get it. People are saying Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore hasn't been necessarily good either. I still think that's a sub to make, though. You need somebody with speed and ability to recover and to defend. The other one is DeAndre Yedlin. I don't think DeAndre Yedlin can defend as well as Shaq can when Shaq Moore is playing well. He hasn't played well. I don't think
Yedlin is definitely more of an attacking
correct
wing back, and yeah, you wouldn't go for that at that time. I see the argument is going over whether or not Rene is a game changer. That's fair. I think that's a good discussion.
Again, the question becomes, who are you going to take off? He plays center mid and wing. He does not play center forward. So you're putting him in a position he's not going to succeed if you put him in at the 9. So you've either got to put him at a 7 or 11 or the 10.
What about, because we continue to have trouble scoring goals, what about trying someone else as a striker? Berhalter has said he won't do it, but somebody like Weah.
We've talked about,
or maybe Pulisic.
And I think we've talked about it on when we were going through the qualifying. I think we all wanted to see it.
I think we talked about it like you, me, and Pat. But
well, I think we've actually talked about it during the Ocho. That I agree. I think that's something to look at as we get away from here. I think Weah as a 9 or Pulisic as a false 9. Yeah, I absolutely think you should be trying some of those things out. You should do that. I'm surprised they didn't do more of that. But again, the other challenge comes in with Gio Reyna. As much of a game changer as he is, how many minutes did he see during the Ocho, during the buildup? He was hurt every time, and that becomes,
he always has that problem. Yeah,
and that's a problem. You don't get the chemistry that the rest of the team has in these limited windows, especially in this one, where the send-off games were 2 months ago. The Saudi Arabia and Japan friendlies, which really don't look as bad as they did. They were 6 8 weeks
True.
ago.
Yeah. They look very different games now.
You don't get, like in a normal World Cup cycle, you get the players for a month in the summer. You have a couple of send-off games, and then you go over. You didn't have that this time. And that's where the chemistry comes in. What you had to build up. The other thing I think that Berhalter, as much as everyone bags on Berhalter, give him a little credit. 3 games in 8 days. He did that with the Ocho, and he navigated it pretty successfully. It seems like where he's making his rotations and subs, as much as it criticizes, critical at times. Again, 3 games in 8 days. You do have to do as much as it's the World Cup. You have to throw everything caution in the wind, right? But you also got to take a look at it. Like I said, McKinney being out at 60, 70, 65 minutes, you might have another game, and McKinney getting hurt and being useless, not only the rest of that game going forward, making that substitution. So Jameson says,
yeah, I'm not putting that shit on.
What's that?
Nothing. Comments that I haven't been. That YouTube now filters comments.
Oh.
And so I don't know if you can read them. I can because I'm in as USFanTV on here.
Okay.
So I can see the comments pop up when they're filtered. But yeah, I'm like, I'm not touching some of those.
All right. So,
but I understand 27 Weah struggles to hold the ball. I get it. That said, he struggles to hold the ball when he has to do a lot of dribbling. And if we start using him for his speed as a striker where we can play him behind the defense and stuff, maybe he doesn't have to hold on to the ball as much. Maybe he is just helping to shoot and just putting shots on the frame of the goal. That would already improve things. Because one of the things that I think we've struggled with, and this may be part of our issue with scoring goals, is we're having trouble breaking down the defense once we're in that final third they've all compressed into the box, and we now like try to keep playing it out wide for a cross. Well, none of our crosses have been very good, much like our corners and many of our free kicks. They've been kind of shit throughout this. So what else can we do? Well, one of them might be to play a long ball earlier and let Weah or somebody run onto it. Weah, Pulisic, and I think it also then opens up. I think we have more midfielders or more options at midfield than we do options at like striker. So say we move Pulisic up, it does allow you to bring in somebody like Aronson or whatever. Now, granted, that means we have fewer guys that we can bring in as call them super subs or whatever, but it maybe does put more of our top talent on the field in positions where they can succeed. So I like that. Jed, I was using force push on all of his first touches. Yeah, for sure. Yikes. That was those were not the touches he was looking for.
No, at times it wasn't. Saw somebody commenting on the Wales game. 66, 74, and 75 and it looks like Jordan Morris came on in about the 88th minute against Wales. So everyone's like, why'd they bring on Jordan Morris? Because it was the 88th minute. So yeah.
They wanted to see if he had another ACL to blow out.
Yeah, he's what, 3 in now? So again, out of the group, and it's interesting. You say that that's what's expected. Is it really necessarily that easy to get out of the group, though?
Oh, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it at all.
I mean,
I'm saying this is harder stuff. And look, we failed to even qualify 4 years ago. Granted, we got robbed.
Wait, how did
we got robbed?
Hold
we
on.
Fucked it up, and we got robbed. But
how did was our opponent in 4 years ago? I don't think they were either. Were they?
Well, it depends on the opponent you're talking about, but I understand.
I'm talking about the nether region.
I know. But Dutch like it took a goal that wasn't a goal for Panama.
Yeah.
And then the debacle in Trinidad. But all that, and it took all that just for us to not make it. That said, we're now expected not only to make it, but to make it out of the group. We're expected to be a dominant team amongst 4 teams at least.
Well, again, like, draw is pending, and
sure, but
and
when do we get an easy draw?
I don't know if is there a such thing.
I don't think there is an especially easy draw at the World Cup. We almost always tend to have one of the hardest draws
because we're in it. I mean, like realistically, the group that gets one of the number 1 seeds and Mexico automatically becomes a harder group for that alone, or gets a number 1 seed and Japan becomes a harder group off of that alone. There are certain teams, the United States is another one. They're in that second tier. So that's where those groups get tougher. So I mean, not every.
But anyway, my point is just, I think the expectation now is we are a good enough team to get out of the group. And whether that's fair or not, I think the expectation now is we should get out of the group. It should be a disappointment if we don't. We should be at least among the final 16 teams. Why shouldn't we?
No, and
we at least have the talent to get there. Like we lack some things, like I don't know, goal scoring. But
is the current European champion here? Qualifying.
They didn't have a national game fixing scandal. They only win the World Cup in years that they have a national game match fixing span. Yeah.
Oh no, they got the new one going. The new one is their debts. Juventus hiding in debts. Anyway, so okay, so we've kind of beat that to a dead horse. Let's get
we're moving on to
the Qatar
World Cup.
When it was announced in 2012, when we were kind of doing, or was it 2012-ish when we were doing, and you guys were doing this show on a regular basis, we said it was going to be a trash fire.
I think, but
whenever they announced it, we said it was going to be a trash fire. Has it been every bit the trash fire we thought it was going to be?
The games have been better than I expected. I will say I was fair. I told some people this was the least excited I've been about a World Cup in 20 years, because I figured it was going to be shit games that either players were going to like. Well, actually, I should say, I thought it was going to be bad games. I thought it was going to screw up the seasons too, because I thought the final, like that the month of kind of that late October to late November, mid November, when the season stopped, I thought that it was going to be. Players were like, "Oh no, I'm hurt," and like bailing out of games because they didn't want to miss the World Cup, or it was going to be because there was no training time. The World Cup was going to suck, and then it'll come back, and guys will be hurt because they got hurt in the World Cup, and then they won't be able to play again in the regular seasons. I thought it was just going to make everything bad. I thought everything was going to suck. Instead, remarkably, players pretty much played right up until they left. Everything seemed to have gone game wise pretty much to standard. I think there are some teams that would have benefited from more advanced training, but whatever, that happens every time, you know. That said, the World Cup itself, no, a straight ass. Like, you can see when they do, despite Fox's like ass kissing and constant worship
we'll call it
of
sport. We'll call it sport washing to be
sport
nice.
washing. Yeah. You can see when they show wide shots of the stadiums, there's unfinished stuff everywhere.
Well, the
Supposedly
village.
there were rooms that weren't complete. It was just like the Russian Olympics in Sochi, where things weren't complete when people arrived. There are like if you saw that tent city or whatever where you can live in, it looks like
It's $150 a night for a trailer for a
basically,
shipping container.
and it's like you're pretty much laying on dirt.
Yeah,
Um,
and I will tell you, when I was in Afghanistan, I did sleep in one of those trailers that had windows cut out. You know what? In the middle of the summer with the air conditioning, it wasn't terrible. It slept just fine for a couple of nights when I was stuck out in Maimana. But that said, yeah, we said it was going to be a tire fire. It has been every bit of that. Um, and I'm not quite sure who you. I hope everybody who got bribed is doing financially well for it. But I mean,
I
seriously,
hope they die. But
FIFA's lack of a spine has
yeah,
been almost every bit as.
Gianni Infantino and his "Today I am gay, today I am what." I know what it's like because I had freckles as a kid and I was a ginger. Like, how tone deaf can you be? Like, I heard, I think it was Men in Blazers do a podcast where they talked about. Um, I think he know they said something like, I think he knows how bad he sounds. It's just that he's making the point to his like Qatari overseers that he will do whatever it takes to kiss the ring. He doesn't care how much he has to deface and debase himself. He will do it just to appease them in whatever stupid way he can. I mean, come on. He sat next to MBS at
Yeah.
at the opening ceremony.
Now,
The guy murders journalists, and you're just
no,
like, yeah,
and
that's cool. Yeah, he's great
Infantino
guy.
is he's the perfect FIFA representative for this World Cup because he's spineless. Sepp Blatter, for as corrupt as he was, I don't think would have put up with this shit because he knew people everywhere. But
I don't
anyway,
know. He is the one who said this World Cup's going on. Just get over it. So
and it did. So he said
he
what he.
oversaw the crimes that made it happen. So
Well, he got paid for it. And but anyway,
conveniently now that he's out, he's like, no, it's ridiculous. This shouldn't happen. Well, I
and
think
then
they had to get rid of the Confederations Cup because they would have failed so badly that everyone would have seen it and would have been exposed.
and
And now supposedly they're saying they're like whatever minister of sport or something like that said that somewhere between 400 and 500 workers died building the stadiums. Now the estimations are more like 10 times that, but actually more than 10 times that. But
yeah,
um,
tens probably
but
the neighborhood of
it's like
10,000. Yeah,
even at 400, that's an insane amount. But then there's a whole other 100 that you're not even sure about. You didn't keep track. That's how little you cared. So
no,
even if those are the numbers, there's still 1 in 4. You were like, meh, whatever.
yeah. And one of the interesting things though.
Yeah, that's a good point, Alex. Yeah, he also sat with MBS and Putin. Like, what an asshole.
Yeah, he's kind of perfect for the role then, really, if you're going to be a shitbag. Now, I saw some, the whole One Love armband debate.
Oh yeah, yeah. I hadn't
But
even
here,
gotten to that
I
one
want to.
yet.
No, we haven't gotten to. I want to kind of segue into that because it seemed like everybody got real tough, and then FIFA said we're going to possibly give you a yellow card if you don't. Somebody, I saw it just in passing on Twitter, and it stuck with me though. What if you get arrested? What if the Qataris decide to do some dumb shit like that and
Yeah.
arrest a player or something like that just because they feel like it? And that's what that's what it really seems like. It's because they feel like it.
I don't think they do it because I don't think they're willing to risk a true international incident. And I think that's where they're pushing the envelope here is everyone's expecting they'll back down because in the end they don't want to look bad on TV. I don't think they give a shit if they look bad on TV because they just care if they look good to themselves. But they don't necessarily want to look bad in front of like political leaders who can do something about it, who can suddenly shut off their bank accounts, who can suddenly shut off the deals that are making them money. You know, their oil's only valuable so long as all their supply lines aren't cut everywhere else. You
Yeah,
know,
but
granted,
that's not
as
happening
we're
right
watching with Russia, much of the world will cave anyway. But
now. Correct.
um, I don't think they would risk a full international incident like that. But they're happy to push around fans and
Journalist.
journalists
Yeah, and
and
Grant Wall didn't
make them
Grant
yeah.
Walcott.
There was a
So
guy from American Outlaws today who I mean I know I recognize the guy. I don't know his name, but like I know I've seen him and then like spoken to him at game stuff. Who got hauled out because he had a rainbow armband on.
so do we assume
Um,
Donald Wine turned him in?
yep.
Yeah, I had to go there. Yeah, the Welsh hats that were an incident. You
Like
hear about these isolated incidents far too often. And again, having somebody who's been in Afghanistan,
which makes you wonder: are they isolated incidents? But
and they're I don't know. I don't think they are. I don't necessarily think they are. But there's incidents every game. It's the logistics are bad. I mean, you're trying to have a World Cup in something in a country that's the size of Connecticut.
mhm.
It just doesn't work. And it there's nothing good that's come from, like you said, the upside is the soccer has been good.
Yeah,
I saw somebody earlier, I think it was Mike pointed out there's been 5-0-0 draws. The record is 7. But then again, you see like the 6 or 7-2 pastings every once in a while too. So the goals, they seem to come in bunches. Yeah, there's been some tight games, but there's other ones that are just completely wide open at times too. So what I've kind of taken away from it is a lot of the teams that would be considered underdogs have kind of figured out how to bunker and count and cover. But once they get scored on once, they have to open up to try to and they get stuck chasing the game, and that's when 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
unless you're Saudi Arabia playing Argentina. Yikes.
Yeah, like I said, there. But you know what? Every World Cup has those.
Yeah.
Spain lost their opener in 2012. I mean, you always seem like that happens, and yet things seem to work out, and and then things seem to right themselves at the end. Now, my question is as we go forward, what do you got next? What's on your
Oh,
banner?
I was just going to talk about the upcoming games and then get into we got to talk about the Netherlands still. So
Yeah. Okay. So where do we want to go next?
let's talk about the Netherlands. Let's do that one.
Do we want to do that, or we want to, or do we want to talk about tomorrow? El Tree.
I say we talk about the Netherlands and then we can wrap up with outside games, non-US games.
Sure.
As I already said, my fear against Holland is unless we score goals. Look, I think defensively we can hold them. We can't hold them to 0. I think they are going to get at least a goal. They haven't been scoring a ton either, but Cody Gakpo can't be stopped apparently. So we're
Then
going to
again,
have to come up with some way to counter that. And I don't just mean counter him. I mean counter what's probably going to be at least a goal from him. I would assume they're going to score at least one, probably, possibly even 2. We're going to have to be able to at least make that number up if we, even just to get to penalties. So we're going to have to find a way to put balls in the back of the net, and that seems to be our biggest downside right now. So that's the one area that I'm afraid of this game. Like I don't have confidence that we'll win this game. I kind of suspect we're going out of the tournament on Saturday. Um, Not because I don't think the Netherlands can't be beaten. I think they can. And I tend to be a big fan of theirs. But I don't think this is the year that I know they for some people they've been considered like kind of a trendy dark horse team, if I could talk. And they often are for me because I think some of their hot shot players get kind of overlooked because I don't know, maybe they're not always hot shots in like the Premier League or something, but they produce some incredible talent. They always do.
Sure.
And they're always going to be there. They're always going to be a team to worry about. But
They've been pretty
Gakpo's still coming up. You know, they don't have somebody like Van Persie or something who like is going to score as many goals
no.
as like you give them a chance to. They don't have anything like that. So they're not the same danger that they normally are.
But what they do have, if he's interested and playing the way he can, is they have the lockdown defender.
Yeah.
And again, if Van
He's
Dijk,
not been great this season, but
no, he's like I said, he's been a cone off and on for Liverpool. But if he shows up the way he has in years prior, yeah, for a team that's struggling, I don't know how you get one. That's the concern.
yeah, I mean, look,
yeah, CONCACAF shithousery for set. I think we have to be the other side of CONCACAF. The way that we need to bunker and counter on them and hope to catch them, like everybody does to us. I mean,
England is a better team. England, I would probably say, has an overall better midfield than Holland. The Dutch, if like in theory, if we could hold England, we can hold the Dutch.
Sure.
But it took a really good performance from us to do it, and we got to pull that off twice, and then we have to score. So it's definitely a long shot. We're definitely the underdogs. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just not anything. I wouldn't go put a lot of money on the game. You know?
No. This is one. Yeah, I think you faded. I do not think this is from a gambling perspective. I think you don't touch this one for the U.S. to win. I don't see it in that sense. Does that mean we can't? No. Again, no. One of the upsides to a team this young is they don't know they're not supposed to win this game. They're young enough to understand that they think they can win anything, and they can. Again, as the English found out, when we're playing well, we can play with the best in the world. But again, this is the same team that can lose to Honduras the next week.
Who was it said be physical with Frankie de Jong? I would agree with that. Like, especially if you noticed, I think it was Carter Vickers was bodying right up on I can't think of his name, but Iran striker. Every time he got the ball, he was like right up in his back, and so he couldn't ever turn with the ball. He always had to play it off, and then we could build more pressure. We can do something similar to De Jong. He has to lay it off. He can't pick us apart. So I do think that's probably a good call. But man,
I assume
they have a lot of options. They have a lot of very good players.
Yeah.
And Cody Gakpo keeps scoring. Like he's gonna maybe he's sort of like this year's, I don't know, James Rodriguez or something.
Sure.
Where like he's gonna come out of this World Cup and his value is skyrocketing because of it.
Are there any changes to assuming Pulisic's Nads bounce back, assuming Sargent is healthy enough? Do you make any changes versus what you rolled out today?
I'm guessing we probably roll out something similar. Maybe you go back to Zimmerman,
and that was going to be one of my questions. Yep.
But that's probably about it.
Because I don't think Haji Wright has played well enough to. I thought Josh Sargent has played well enough today that he's played, and realistically he was okay against Wales too. I mean, he was not the issue there either. Um,
No, he's played well. His problem is just he's not putting the ball in the back of the net, and that's the one thing we need.
mhm.
Um, he's serving as, I guess you'd call it a false nine, just a 9.5 or something.
Well,
Where
he's a nine. He's a back to the goal nine. You
yeah,
play it
yeah,
into him, and then you get Weah and Pulisic
and
running
you
off
hope
of
they
him
can
here,
run off, yeah.
and
Um,
and I think that's the style. And that's why it worked against England. Why did we struggle against Wales? Because Wales packed it in, and you can't do that against Wales. So you have to
yeah.
try and break them down, and that was it. And let's face it,
That said, we didn't struggle that much against Wales. Like we should have probably had 4 goals.
sure.
We just didn't put balls in the back of the net. We just kept missing, or
Well,
choking. We'd get an open shot, and we'd sky it into the
but to be
top
fair,
deck.
we also played against the Wales number one, who gave up one number one keeper who gave up one goal before he took his red card, and then gave their backup gave up two against Iran, and what four, was
Yeah,
it four? Final was four today with England.
I think so. I know it
So
was 3. I don't.
their number two gave up
I was too busy with our game.
right. I mean, their number two gave up 5 or 6 goals in a little more than a game. I'm sorry. He was not good. I saw the goals he gave up against Iran. He's not good. He was not good. So that matters too. Again, that matters. And but England, because they weren't afraid of us, didn't think enough to try until really the second half. It was like early in the second half, I saw like England pack all 10 behind the ball like Wales did. I'm going, holy shit! England's sitting back and waiting.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
you expected it from
yeah. They
Iran.
had to adjust for us, which was
Bring
impressive.
on bring on
If we
Henderson.
can do something similar, like the one in a sense positive that I have for this game on Saturday is because the Netherlands are good, maybe they will actually come play us and not just try to like break us up and like stomp on us and kick us and things. They may actually try to play us straight up where we can then it just comes down to who plays better instead of just like I don't know, doing what Wales did the entire game, which was like stomp on all of our ankles, kick
Yeah,
us in the back of the knee, kick us in the ass, and knee us in the back, and then dive on the ground and pretend that they got hurt instead. And that
speaking,
shit. One,
but
I hate the way that shit always gets rewarded. Period. But it seems to be especially rewarded when you play the U.S. Um,
I will say this is as much as Wales did shithousery really well against us in the first game, the level of screaming from that Irani forward in the second half, and I don't know if you could hear it. Like they stopped the game. I thought he was going to die on the field. It was that I'm like going, holy cow! Like you don't hear the field mics don't pick up, and this guy is screaming, and then he pops back up. It's like seriously, man. Did it hurt? Sure. I think he got his ankle stuck, but I mean, I thought he was going to die on the field. And but I will say, and again, I will say, watching today though, I heard, and I want to say it was the Fox coverage that said something that basically this team
it was
isn't
written
above.
by the Qatari
Well,
PR
no, it was basically the U.S. is always
Qatari
seemed to be.
propaganda team.
No, it was always the U.S. seems to be really nice when they try to get the ball back and play. We went to full fledged shithousery in the last 15 minutes, and it was
As well
wonderful to
we
see
should
that.
have.
Hmm? Yeah,
As well we should have. And quite frankly, I think it was Aronson was too honest when he went into the box at some point late in the game. One of the things I was noticing was like Iran's whole way of defending was to just stick a leg out.
yeah,
And we just kept jumping over it instead of like taking the leg, taking the trip, and trying to get them a card, trying to get a penalty,
sure.
whatever. And part of that is it's just it's kind of our nature that we play too honestly. We don't try to like, you know, uh, pull for a call. So we don't take an easy dive or an easy, a foul and go down. And I do think we get, I don't know, robbed for it. What are our thoughts on penalties?
I don't like them.
I don't know. Like I I I don't know anyone who could feel confident going into a shootout. Um, the one thing I guess that maybe I would feel a little better for us is I feel like the higher profile the player, the more intricate they try to make their penalties, and the less they like just hammer them into a corner. Look, a good penalty, you can pretty much tell the keeper where you're going. If you hit it hard enough, you're still going to put it in
And
because they
if you
can't
and if you
react
and if
fast
you
enough.
speaking of the Netherlands, if you want to go look at that, go look at Van Dijk's penalty against Chelsea. Was it the FA Cup? I think it was the Carabao Cup final. Basically told Kepa where he's going to put it, and then went out and just did exactly that. Yeah, you can tell him where you're going to go. You'll finish it. Do I like our
It's
chances
too
against?
close. They can't react fast enough. You hit it hard enough, you don't have to worry about it. But
Mhm.
it's like everybody wants to be cool, and I hate when like Messi does it. When it's like, oh god, like in that game against Saudi Arabia, like uh, every time I see like a Panenka or something, I'm always like, oh god, don't no, don't do this. Like,
Ask Chicharito how that works out for you.
yeah, yeah.
But
He'd
then
tell
again,
you,
but then again, you
shut
watch.
the fuck up, motherfucker.
But then again, you watch Bruno Fernandes, the other day taking a penalty, doing all his hop skipping. I think he did a
Yeah,
cartwheel somewhere in there.
yeah,
But once that goalie moves, it's real easy. And if
yeah.
you can wait until the last minute, good on you. I was a
Uh,
believer taking penalties. You picked a side and you went and you just put the ball on the side of the side netting and called it a day.
Speaking
So
of my Chicharito joke a second ago, if you guys have not watched Chicharito on
TikTok.
TikTok, he records himself playing Call of Duty against people, and he just yells at them about like "shut the fuck up" and calls them assholes and stuff. But it's hilarious because all he does is like scream at them, and then he records it and plays it on publicly. Like I don't know why you do this, but it's just funny. Um,
Mexico, yeah. Chicharito playing video games while Mexico can't score goals. I feel
yep.
that's a good segue into where we were going to go next
Where we're
anyway
going
and talk
tomorrow?
about to El Tri. Yeah. So we're going to get through the end of these first round games, and we're going to be the last CONCACAF team standing.
I certainly hope so.
What is
I
that? The only thing Mexico has done well this tournament is their uniforms. That is the only thing they have done well this tournament.
I hate to agree. I have to give it to them.
But
They made some awesome stuff. Like
they
Adidas
were
does what Nike will not do for the US.
they have
Um,
been they yeah.
I don't think like
But you know what? They weren't they I
they
think they
weren't
finished
great in
they
qualifying.
no,
It
they
really
finished
just
second.
came
They
down
finished
to
second because we shit the bed in the last near the end,
we
but
shit the bed, and they had an easy finish
sure.
to the cycle. Um, and we got to
But when
hurry up here because I only have 10% battery left. I didn't think to charge my phone before I did this, so
idiot.
didn't
Yeah,
realize it was
we
low.
got a little bit anyway. Yeah. Again, but we've what? How many? We beat them. Cincinnati. We beat them at the Gold Cup, the Confederations Cup. Should have beaten them at Azteca, but tied them at Azteca. Canada beat them in Edmonton. I mean, they can beat the teams below them. They're kind of where we. I feel like they're kind of where we were last cycle. They beat the teams they
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
They really struggle against those they can't. And it seems like, but it
Well,
seems like
it to some ways it in some ways it is like where we were last cycle. They're at the end of this group of players.
sure.
They haven't quite gotten the next group yet. Um,
Do they have? Do
so
they have a next group?
I was just going to say they're unsure who they kind of are because who are the up and comers? Like they don't have anybody who is a standout 19-year-old right now who's just like blowing everybody away and is like trying to sign for some huge team or something. Um,
Yeah, but
they
they're playing Saudi Arabia tomorrow, so that should bode well for. Well, but then again,
Saudi
ask
Arabia's been
Argentina.
better than
Yeah,
better than I expected. I mean, look, they definitely got away with stuff. I got up at 4 a.m. to watch that Argentina game. Um, Saudi Arabia got away with a lot. They definitely were stomping on people and like kicking people and getting away with cheap fouls.
mhm.
But their two goals were really good shots.
They
I
were.
mean, both of
They
them were
absolutely were.
really well taken. Um,
But
and
when you look at Mexico's team, they have are t- they have one in Belgium, three in Holland, one in Greece. The only one playing in England is Raul Jimenez, and he's playing for Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have. I mean, you look at our roster. They're all in Europe. I mean, yeah, they have a handful of MLS players. It is not.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I don't know necessarily that the league matters per se, but right now I don't think Liga MX is anywhere near the top leagues in Europe at this point. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's much better than MLS any longer. I think their roster depth is about it. But that said, this team isn't that good. Like you said, this team isn't that good anymore. I mean, Ochoa is 800 years old and is saving him a lot, but
I've always been a fan. I mean, for as much as like, fuck Mexico,
Mhm.
I have always thought Guardado was awesome. I've always I for years I thought that guy was was like good enough that I couldn't disrespect him. But he's too old. He's old. I mean, he's what, 36, 38, something like that. He's like up there with Ronaldo, where it's like,
36.
okay,
He's still playing for Betis.
um, look,
Yeah,
he can do it in short
sure.
instances, but
Mhm.
he can't carry that team anymore. He can't lock down their midfield, and they don't have a replacement for him.
No,
Why is he out there at 36? Because they don't have somebody
sure.
at 28 who can do it. And
No,
yeah,
I'm
so I don't think that they have the I don't think that they have staying power. I haven't looked at like what the next round would be if they do get through. Um, you know,
yeah,
the big thing is I think Saudi Arabia is going to be a much harder challenge for them than they think. I think they also, much
sure.
like Argentina in the opening game, I think Mexico can get caught up in. Um,
It's C and D, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
If second
so
place
it,
would play France, so
second place will play France if they win their group, which I don't know if they even can. No, they can't because Poland plays Argentina and they're at
yeah.
3 and 4, so they can't. They can finish second, which would put them against France. Yeah. Good luck. Let me know
Um,
how that works out.
yeah, yeah.
And again,
Uh,
speaking of France, could you imagine if they still had Pogba and Benzema playing? They've been good.
yeah.
Holy
Oh,
shit!
like how they have hit like a uh golden cycle. Like
Yeah.
it's like they just keep producing these incredibly high level players who at like position after position after position. So it's like all over the place. Um, like I was hoping that William Saliba would get in to play for France so far, and it's like you start looking at the subs for their defense, and it's like Jesus, how is that guy on the bench? How is that guy on the bench? How is that guy on the bench? Like, oh my god.
Oh, no doubt.
Um, but like what I was to say, Mexico I think has a bit of the same problem that like Argentina has, and that's because their media can like get on them so heavily. I think there is a bit of, if you score early, they can sometimes get down on themselves and they'll let other goals in because they're too focused on, oh, it happened again, kind of. And I
Sure.
think that's more what cost Argentina that first game. Was I think they looked past Saudi Arabia, and
A
I
bit.
think
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
when Saudi Arabia scored, it was like they didn't know what to do, and then they got a second goal, like I don't know, 5 minutes later, or whatever.
They were still shell shocked from the first. Sure.
Kind of, yeah. Uh, I think something similar could happen to Mexico because they are looking at, you're getting shipped out if you don't make this. And I think if Saudi Arabia gets lucky with a goal, like in 15 minutes in, or 25
Hmm.
minutes in or something, I could see Mexico
Sure.
sort of like getting dazed and like screwing it up and kind of choking. Um, I
Oh yeah, Conte.
s-
Yeah, no Conte either for France, by the way.
oh yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
uh, and then yeah, Argentina, Poland. Um, you have to think Argentina, like they've been who they're who I have been pulling for,
Hmm.
uh, because I want Messi to get a World Cup.
Sure.
If it's not going to be us, I want it to be him or them, him.
Yeah.
Um, so I come on, they should beat Poland. I mean, they should be able to play with anybody in this tournament. Like
I
their
think
only challenges should be probably Brazil and France. Um,
I think again they had a couple of injuries. I want to say go like in the in the week or two leading up to it. So they're kind of coming, but they're deep enough where they should be able to
yeah,
pull.
they're I think they're getting better anyway. It took a while to get that goal against Mexico, the first goal, but they certainly like after that it was like they clearly were in control and this was going to be their game. I think the same will probably happen with Poland. Um, Unless like Lewandowski suddenly becomes now that he's finally gotten a World Cup goal, maybe it's like the floodgates open. Um,
The the
but
one thing
short
I
of
will say,
that, yeah, I think
however,
Argentina
however,
is just too
Argentina's
much for
always
them.
been known because Messi and their attack, their defense in the Copa America was really solid the last time
Yeah,
around. And I think that's why they're going to be able to they'll be Poland. Um, I think their defense is that's why I predict I still think Argentina can have a deep run is because their defense is that good. I'm kind of looking forward, and then if we go to the next group, we have what Spain, Japan, Costa Rica. That might be the group of death, really. Spain and Germany in one group. Germany's sitting on the bottom right now, but
yeah, that
they
uh,
play Costa Rica. Costa Rica
it,
beat
it
Japan,
is nuts to me that like in back-to-back World Cups they could go out in the opening round.
but again,
Um,
they don't have that dominant. Again,
they
they might be
have
getting at the end of that cycle. I mean, you're still starting
that's part of it. Come on, they still got like Mueller out there,
and Neuer
like
and Manny Neuer.
yeah. Well, at least Neuer, like whatever, a goalie. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
they can play till
Peter Shilton played at 40 and was still really
yeah.
good. With Germany, it's always like I always thought Ter Stegen would have taken over at some point. I mean, you're starting for Barcelona, and he's never been able to unseat Manny
That's
Neuer.
it. I don't know, man. Neuer's
He's still good. He's yeah.
Neuer to me is the greatest keeper of all time. Like that
Yes.
dude is
Yes. I cannot disagree with that.
as a goalkeeper, as a like I don't know sweeper, like,
Sweeper keeper. Yeah. Well, he
as
revolution.
a
Yeah.
as a guy to like come up. I mean, he's like he and Allison are sort of like guys that you genuinely have to worry that they might score if they come up like on a corner at the end of the game or something.
I mean, you almost got it. Yeah. If you don't say Neuer is the best of all time, Buffon maybe, but I mean, you're getting into that level of territory with Neuer,
Yeah,
and yeah, he's outstanding. Who do you see coming out of there? I mean, Spain right now. Spain and Japan and then Costa Rica and Germany.
I have to kind
Spain's
of
got to go through. I think Spain.
honestly, I have to think it's probably Spain and Japan. Like I don't
Well, they're playing
I
each other, so
I can't well, but what I'm saying is like I don't know if I truly believe Germany can bring it back. Like they haven't looked like they can so far.
however,
Um,
If Germany and Spain both win on Thursday, I guess it would be, um, they're both going through
would they
because
go through? Yeah.
Yeah, because Spain is playing Japan, Germany's playing Costa Rica. So, and Japan's sitting on 3 points with that
I
loss to
mean,
Costa
Costa
Rica.
Rica definitely looks
Well,
kind of looks
but
like
they
how
beat
did they get
Japan.
here? Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Again, it's been a crazy World Cup, but for the most part, Costa Rica has not looked good. Um, I kind of put their game there with like Saudi Arabia's, where it showed, I guess, why they're here, but I don't think it necessarily reflects reality.
sure. And let's go on to Group F really quick. Let's keep moving through because I know your phone battery's dying. Does Belgium go home? Are they the France from like the
I really thought they were like probably going to win that group, and wow,
they struggle
um,
against Canada, who's going home.
yeah, yeah.
Not that Canada's a terrible side. I don't think they're terrible,
I,
but
Canada's problem is I don't think they're anyone but like Davies and Leyoun,
yeah,
and in this tournament they haven't really been anyone but Davies.
right.
Like they don't have enough of the supporting cast yet. Fortunately or unfortunately, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us. Um, they don't have the supporting cast there. So
Sure.
like, I don't know.
They're getting. I think they're getting there. They're not there
Yeah.
yet. Yeah. So do you? So you think Croatia, because Croatia plays Belgium, Morocco plays Canada.
I've been shocked by Morocco.
Belgium has to win.
I've
Belgium has
been
to win.
shocked by Belgium, I guess, in a negative way. Um, like we knew Morocco was like coming up.
Sure.
Um, the entire like African AFCON has come up,
Hmm. Yeah.
and has been producing some really good teams. But I did not expect Morocco to beat Belgium, much less by like multiple goals.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I don't know what to think out of that
Morocco's
group. I
playing
mean,
Canada, so I think Morocco.
Morocco, I think, is going through, and
Croatia's on 4, Belgium's on 3, so Belgium has to win.
going in, I would have said it was probably Belgium taking the group, Croatia second, and now I'm like,
I think Morocco takes the group.
Croatia,
I think
Croatia,
Morocco
and
takes the group and
Morocco.
Croatia second. I think Croatia ties.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, Group G, Brazil's already through. Switzerland sitting on 3, Cameroon on 1, Serbia on 1. I believe it's what Brazil is it Brazil and Serbia? Or is it
I'm not
Brazil and
sure,
no,
and
it's
I don't
Brazil
have
and
it in front
Cameroon?
of me.
Brazil and hang on, I'll look at that. So Brazil's through.
Brazil
Is it
is looking like a
they're looking
true
like they
contender
should.
this
Yeah.
time. They're looking like everyone always predicts them to be in advance.
Brazil and Cameroon. So it's Brazil and Cameroon, Serbia and Switzerland. So right now, yeah, Switzerland's on 3, Brazil's on 6. They're already through. Cameroon's on 1, Serbia's on 1. I think the Swiss come out.
I would guess. I mean,
So
I would say amongst those three, they should be the best team. So yeah, my prediction would be certainly going in. My prediction would have been
sure.
them as the second place team. I would still stand by that.
And Portugal, and then the last group we got Portugal's already through. They're playing South Korea. Ghana sitting on 3 points, Uruguay on 1, and so is South Korea on 1. That's Group H. So
I think Ghana's going through. I actually think South Korea is probably going home, which kind of
which would
surprised
be
me
because Portugal's already through.
going in.
Portugal's through, so yeah, that would Ghana be the other one.
Portugal. Ronaldo scored, didn't he? Oh, it must have touched his hair.
Well, he got a Pinaldo in the first one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, what bullshit that call was.
Yeah, that was
not a penalty ever.
No.
Just given to him. And then that he celebrates like, oh, I'm the greatest ever. Oh, God, I hate that guy.
He's a terrible human being. That's a whole nother show for itself. All right, so let's get this and then we'll move on.
I don't hate him, but I
hate him. We've talked about this many times. We'll move on. Who's lifting the trophy at the end? I don't think it's us. As much, although if we can beat the Dutch, I want to say it gets easier, but it doesn't. Obviously,
yeah. Going in, I was definitely pulling for Argentina. I mean, I'm still pulling for Argentina. If I have to look at what I've seen so far, I have to think it's probably France or Brazil, based on the performances.
Spain's first game, they were so good. Although it was against Costa Rica, so
yeah, no, I think they have some incredible talent as well, but I don't know. Brazil and France just looked like they just looked different than everyone.
Sure,
and like at a level that I don't think anyone else could compete with. Sure, Argentina, Spain. Should be Germany, probably Belgium. Could all like
it's not coming. Can we just say for sure it's not coming home?
I don't think it's coming home.
It's not coming.
They're dependent upon Harry Kane to score goals. I'm sorry, the guy is a penalty merchant. That's all he is.
Okay, so
he's a decent goal scorer. He is not the world-class talent that they think he is.
No, I think it's Brazil's to lose unless Neymar's out for an extended period. That makes it a little more fair.
It sounds like he's not going to be, but I don't know. Maybe who knows? Like it's just whatever the report is.
He might still be rolling for an injury somewhere. I mean, realistically. So, all right, let's wrap it up. Let's finish it up with the future, if you don't mind. So there's some conversation in the chat. Tata Martino is done. Now? Nope, they've never. How long does Triple G stay on afterwards? Does he stay through the next Gold Cup? I don't think he's here 4 years from now. I
hope he's done. If we do something like beat the Netherlands, they can't fire him. So what are they going to do? I don't know. I don't think he is the guy to carry us forward.
No.
But
I think he's
successful enough, what do you do?
I think he's reset the table. He's got him going, and he reminds me kind of, in some ways, of Bora Milutinovic. Like he's rebuilding it back up,
mm-hmm.
And then you need. I mean, Bruce Arena is the one that took it to the next level. We don't acknowledge Steve Sampson on the show. He doesn't exist. So that said, but Bruce Arena was the next one. So I mean, who's the next Bruce Arena? Is it Jesse Marsh?
I don't think. I mean, it very well might be. I don't think he's going to take that job right now. I mean, if I guess if things turn the right way for the U.S. and he loses the job at Leeds somewhere around in the back half of the season, sure, maybe he's available and the season ends and he comes in. But I think he's too focused still on building his club managerial career. So I don't think he's going to do it.
Lupin Tuji, yeah. Schmetzer is a name I'll put in the back of your mind now and just leave that one. We'll kind of end with that one. Seattle. It's been there a long time. He's won CONCACAF Club Championship, so he knows what he's doing. He knows American players. He made Jordan Morris good. How bad can he be, really? So, that's a name I'll throw in the back because he is 60 years old, so he'd be kind of at the end. He might be looking for a little bit less of a so. Jesse, yeah. If it's not Jesse Marsh, I don't know where they go from there, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But
who's the who's the guy who played for the U.S. and was coaching at, was it Reading or QPR just a few years ago in England? Why can't I think of his name now? And I wasn't prepared for this, so
okay,
I can't think of it.
Well, we've got 4 years to discuss.
I don't know what happened to him since he lost the job there. It was Reading, wasn't it? It was when Danny Williams was there, right?
He used to coach the Fire.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, maybe
shows how much I've been paying attention to that.
Yeah. They need a big time coach. I agree with Ace. They need someone who's going to be able to manage that room because there's going to be a lot of egos. As good as these guys are young, they're still coachable. 4 years from now, if they continue to progress, these are some of the better players in the world. You do need a huge ego, somebody that can manage egos. No question about it. Bob Bradley. Bob Bradley won't be Bob Bradley. Roberto Martinez before the tournament. Yeah, before the tournament, Martinez would have looked really nice. He not anymore. Considering you have Kevin De Bruyne,
we need to give out Hat Guy's email address so everyone can hound him to get on.
All right, so
he can have other people telling him, "No, you're doing it," and then he'll say, "Nope."
All right, we're at 80 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We do.
My phone's dying.
It's Ace says we need to do more shows. Should we do this again Saturday night?
Yeah, I think so.
Saturday night, same time.
I might even be able to do it during the day. We'll see what my day turns out like after.
Yeah, my son's in a basketball tournament. My son's
drunk by.
I have no idea, but so let's say Saturday night. We can do this again.
All right.
So everybody's had a night of drinking. So I would say, where can we find you on Twitter? I think it's only at USFanTV now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have not been unlocked.
Twitter killed my my personal account. So dicks, whatever. Elon Musk can fuck off.
So
a piece of shit.
So we find you at.
And I thought that way before he proved it.
At USFanTV. Find him on Twitter. I'm at TJ Zaremba. Pat is at Patrick McCraney. If everyone wants to find Hat Guy, we'll be back. I think
Hat Guy will join us eventually. He just is trying to be professional these days and doesn't want to like be on a show where we keep saying fuck. I keep saying it.
This is true. This would be true. So, um, are we on TikTok? No.
No, you guys are. I'm not. I don't know.
Are we on Snapchat? No.
No.
You can find us on YouTube. We already have.
Greg Berhalter says sorry about the bad subs today. Thanks, Greg. Good to see you.
I assume that's Leipzig in disguise, somewhere. Or Alex.
That would be funny.
So, yep. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Like I said, Pat probably will have some other projects coming up. He'll talk about when he's ready to. Maybe I might get back in the podcasting game. A lot of stuff, but let's do this again Saturday. We'll see where we're at. How's that sound?
Yeah, CCC.
Saturday night.
Buenas tardes, amigos.
All right. And on that note, you're done?
You're done.